Hey, what's up everyone? Chris Rogers here, and today I'm going to be revealing some of my top tricks, hacks, and secrets that I use to capture the best possible photos on my GoPro. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down things like mastering the GoPro selfie, getting the best POV shots, using ND filters, as well as the editing process, and a bunch of other tips and tricks as well. On that note, I'd like to say a big thanks to our sponsor for this week's video, Luminar AI. Luminar AI is a really exciting new editing app that uses artificial intelligence to edit your photos. I've been using it for about the last couple weeks now, and it has absolutely blown my mind. We'll get into some of that a little bit later. It's really exciting, but without further ado, I think we should get into some of the first tips. So the next thing I want to talk about is how to master the GoPro selfie. Now, for me personally, there are two things I usually use to take most of my GoPro selfies. I usually use the GoPro 3-way and just a regular selfie stick. I personally prefer using a carbon fiber pole. At the end of the day, a GoPro is an action camera, so you want to have a strong selfie stick that's not going to break it when you're doing crazy things. So in the digital age that we live in, most of us are probably taking GoPro photos to post on Instagram or Facebook. So with that being said, you actually want to be shooting more in portrait than landscape. If you're shooting in landscape, you know, it's better for something like YouTube or to actually print on the wall, but I would say I almost never shoot in landscape. I almost always end up turning my GoPro 90 degrees to shoot in portrait. And with that being said, you're going to capture yourself a lot more head to toe when taking a selfie. So a common issue is a lot of people end up taking selfies and that their arm ends up blocking a lot of the shot. But if you just turn the GoPro 90 degrees, it creates a way more dynamic and professional looking selfie. So another common issue I find when people take GoPro selfies is that the selfie stick actually takes up too much space in the photo. I personally prefer angling my selfie stick completely out of the frame. I do think it looks a lot more clean and professional, and if you do look at a lot of other top GoPro content creators, you will almost always never see their selfie stick in the shot, and if you do, it's not taking up much real estate in the photo. So next time you're out shooting with the GoPro, change the angle of your selfie stick so that you don't have it in the frame and flip it into portrait mode, and you're going to get a way more dynamic shot.
So in this example, I was skateboarding the other day. I wanted to showcase the difference between using an ND filter to create motion blur. In this case, I wasn't using an ND filter. And as you can see, the shot is quite nice, but we don't really capture the motion. There's no real sense of movement in the photos without the ND filter. So what we do is we swap out the regular GoPro lens for an ND filter, in this case an ND32 filter, which will create the most motion blur. And as you can see, it immediately creates a huge difference, and we get a real sense of motion by all the motion blur that you see on the road and even some of the background. Now, when using an ND filter, it's really important that you keep the camera as still as possible relative to yourself, otherwise you'll just end up blurry. But at the same time, you want to make sure that your surroundings have decent relative motion to you and the camera. That way they'll create some nice motion blur. So that's the reason why I drop down lower to the ground on the skateboard, because then the relative motion of the ground to the camera is a lot higher when I'm lower down versus when I'm standing up, and it creates a way more effective motion blur, as you can see in this sequence here. Okay, so now we're going to jump into Luminar AI and do some editing on the skateboarding photo. Now, Luminar has some great stock templates already loaded into their app that you can choose from, but I usually like to start off my edit with applying one of my own custom LUTs that I've designed for GoPro photos over the years. So we'll start off and we'll go and choose my go-to 5 LUT. These LUTs are available on my website. Now, the really cool thing is how you can adjust the intensity of a LUT on a photo. This I've never seen before in any other photo editing software. So this is a great place to start the edit. We'll go and adjust the composition to 4:5 because that is the crop for Instagram. And then we'll use the raise feature to take out the shadow of the selfie stick. Really quick and easy to do. Bam, and it's gone. And then we'll adjust some of the lighting, take down the highlights, bring up the temp. We don't need to make too many adjustments in this because we've already applied a LUT to this photo. We'll enhance it a little bit and add some structure as well, just to make it pop that little bit more. Then we'll go down to the landscape tab, add a little bit of some golden hour vibes, and play around with the foliage enhancer. It's really impressive how it detects all the plants and trees in a photo. And then if we just go up to the slider tool in the top right here, we can move it across the image and see our before and after, and quite a significant difference already. I think I'm pretty happy with how this image has come out so far.
So the second tip I wanted to talk about was shooting POV images. Now, POV images give a really immersive feel to a photo. It makes the viewer feel like they were there at the location or experiencing whatever sport or activity you were doing. So When you're out next time, don't just point your GoPro and take a regular landscape photo. You can do that with your iPhone or your regular camera. You want to create something that is more unique to a GoPro. So I personally like to use the bite mount from GoPro. I put it in my mouth, I put it in portrait mode, and I will usually try frame some part of my body in the shot, whether it's my arms or my legs or both, and it creates a very immersive feel. You might look a bit ridiculous for a couple seconds, but I personally prefer using that over the head strap. And as you can see, POV shots really make a difference compared to just a normal boring standard landscape photo. It just creates a more immersive feel to the image and makes the viewer feel like they were actually at the location.
So we'll jump back into Luminar and go edit this POV image. Now I want to get pretty crazy with this one, see how different we can make it. So we'll start with the sky replacement, and now this is absolutely mind-blowing, this new feature. It's insane how it detects the sky in every photo and perfectly swaps it out every time. You can make some minor tweaks to it to perfect it to the way you want if it doesn't do it perfectly, but honestly, playing around with this for the last few weeks, it pretty much does it perfectly. I would say 95% of the time, and if it doesn't, you can go in and just make some minor tweaks to clean it up. It's really cool. You can also change the temperature and exposure value of the sky and do a really solid sky replacement. So another thing to note with the sky selection tool is that you can actually load your own custom images into this feature, and you're not just limited to the ones that come in the app. So if you have some really awesome skies or sunsets that you've captured in other photos, you can easily load these in and it'll do a sky replacement for you with your own image. So we'll start with the sky replacement and do dramatic sunset 5, and it's already got a very different feel to it already compared to the original image. And we'll go and apply one of my sunset LUTs as well to give it a more sunset color vibe to it as well. Then we'll hop in, adjust the composition for Instagram, and then we'll adjust some of the lights, bring up the shadow, adjust the temperature and the tint as well. Now we want to make this as much of a sunset looking image as possible, so we'll add some enhancement to the image as well, play around with the sky enhancer, and then we'll go over to landscape and give it more golden hour because that's the exact feel we're going for. Then we'll hop back to the creative tab and play with the sun rays feature. Now this is one of my favorite features as well in Luminar AI. It's really incredible how you can fully adjust the sun rays, how many rays there are, and you can even move the sun around in the image and the sun rays will adjust according to the image, which is just incredible. I have no idea how they've managed to do it, but the AI technology in this is really impressive. And it really makes a difference to this image. And then we'll go to the augmented sky tab. Now this is pretty fun. You can add a whole bunch of different things to images, from clouds to rockets to moons, planets. For this case, we'll add an airplane because I miss travel so much. And wow, how quick and easy was that? Really looks like the plane was there. We'll go make some minor tweaks in the color tab as well. And lastly, we'll add a gradient just to lighten the bottom of the image up. And if we go over to the before and after slider, we can see the original image versus the edited image is just wow. It's such a crazy difference, and we've done this in a matter of minutes. An edit like this previously would have taken you hours.
Another little tip and trick I want to talk about was how to not get water droplets on your GoPro lens. I know this is a big issue for a lot of people, and I personally use this water drop management spray from G-Dome. I know you can use some dishwashing soaps apparently, and also Spit does the trick as well. Spit just takes a little bit longer to do. So what I usually do is I'll spray my GoPro lens or G-Dome before I go in the water, preferably even a day before, and I'll let it set. What I'll do is I'll go into the water, I'll splash the dome a couple of times just to make sure it's nice and clear. And what this actually does is it doesn't actually repel water droplets. It actually creates a thin film of water over the dome or your GoPro lens the entire time. So this is the method I personally use. I know some people prefer the repellent method. This is what I've been using for years. It works really well for me, and this is what I would recommend you do. And as you can see here, I'm spraying the dome, and instead of the water droplets having to hit the dome and then roll off, it hits the dome and then becomes part of the thin film of water, and we don't have any drops ruining our shot. Now, when you are using a dome, there are a few things to take note of. One thing is where the light is, or the sun. So as you can see here, we're shooting directly into the sun. You can't see the model and detail much, and we swap sides here, and the shot is a lot better with the sun behind us. Also, when shooting with a dome, it is better to shoot when the sun is high up in the air, so that the more light that can penetrate the water, the better your split shot's going to be. So another tip with getting a good split shot with your G-Dome is making sure you have the right angle. I think a lot of people assume that just holding the dome perfectly 50-50 in the water is the best way to do it. I personally think having about 60% of the dome out of the water is better, but having a little bit of a forward tilt gets the best dome shot. That way you're capturing more above the surface than below, but you're still capturing enough below to get both above and below the surface of the water. So I personally would recommend having a bit of a forward tilt and having about a 60-40 split to get the best G-Dome shot possible.
So now we're going to hop in here and edit this dome photo. We'll start off by loading one of my custom LUTs. We'll start with my Dome Maldives LUT as a starting base, and then we'll go back to the light feature, adjust some of the warmth, change the curves a little bit, make some minor adjustments, and then I also want to add some enhancements as well as structure to this image because the sharpness profile that we shot with the Hero 9 was really flat. So we want to add some structure which will just add a bit more contrast and sharpness to the image. And then we'll go down to the color tab and adjust some of the hue and saturation of some of the colors, maybe just tweak the greens and the blues a little bit to get the sky and the water the color we want. Then we'll head over to the Pro tab, go to color harmony, just add a bit more vibrance and some minor adjustments just to make this image pop a little bit more. And already just in a minute we've made drastic changes to this edit. One last thing is we'll go and delete this piece of kelp out of this image. I don't really like it, and there's one or two pieces of I think dirt that might have been on the outside of the dome that we'll just get rid of here quickly, and the erase feature just works super well. Bang, just like that, and they're gone. And just in a matter of minutes, look at the drastic changes from the before and after in this photo. It's honestly mind-blowing how quick and easy it is. Wow, what a difference. And I haven't even done a sky replacement on this one. It's pretty drastic, the changes already, so super quick and easy.
The most important thing for me to probably mention is my GoPro settings and modes that I use. I'd say about 90% of the time I actually shoot in time-lapse mode with an interval of half a second. And these are my go-to Pro Tune settings that you see on the screen here. The only thing that I find myself adjusting nowadays is the GoPro color, the ISO, and the exposure value relative to the environment that I'm shooting in. Otherwise, these are my settings, I would say probably 90% of the time. Now, when I adjust my GoPro color, that's purely by me looking through the LCD screen and deciding for myself if I think there's a bit too much contrast and saturation. Just by looking through the LCD screen, then I will turn the GoPro color off. I find myself doing that a bit more lately with the Hero 9, but honestly, it's up to you at the end of the day. Another thing I adjust is my ISO. Usually most of the time, I will keep the ISO max and min at 100. With the Hero 9, I have been adjusting the ISO max to 400 a bit more because there are more pixels in the Hero 9, so you do get a little bit more motion blur just naturally from that. Now, a common issue I find a lot of people saying online that they have with their GoPro is that their photos are blurry. Now, that is predominantly because you're either shooting in low light conditions or you have the wrong Pro Tune settings. Now, if you're finding that you have blurry images with the GoPro, the general rule of thumb to follow is that the higher the ISO, the less blur you'll get, and the lower the exposure value, the less blur you'll get. So high ISO, low exposure value equals less blur. On that note though, I almost never put my ISO higher than 400. Sometimes I'll push it to 800. I do not recommend ever having your GoPro above an ISO of 800. And if you're still getting motion blur, you can adjust your ISO minimum value to a higher value such as 200 or 400. So you could keep both your ISO max and min at 400 and your exposure value at -0.5, and that should help reduce the blur. I'd say play around with these settings, but follow the general rule of thumb of a higher ISO and a lower exposure value, and that should help reduce blur, and vice versa as well to create more motion blur. Another thing I want to mention is that I actually, and surprisingly to probably a few of you, I don't actually shoot in RAW. Most of the time I'm shooting in JPEG, and the reason for this being is that the mode that I use to capture 90% of my photos, like I said earlier, is the time-lapse in half-a-second intervals. And the reason that I don't shoot in JPEG is that the GoPro, when it's shooting that mode, it can't shoot in RAW. It can only shoot RAW at 5-second intervals and higher. So because of that, that is the main reason why I shoot JPEG. And I use the half-a-second interval because at the end of the day, I'm going to capture more photos. Therefore, my chances of capturing the shot I want are actually a lot higher because I am capturing more photos. You are going to end up having to sort through more photos, but you know, your success rate is going to be a lot higher. It might be tedious, but I do recommend taking this approach, and I know a lot of the other top GoPro content creators out there also use this mode to capture most of their GoPro photos. So I hope you guys have found this video insightful, and hopefully you've learned a few things about the way I capture certain GoPro photos as well as the editing process. So a big thanks again to Luminar AI for sponsoring this week's video. It's been so fun playing in an app that uses artificial intelligence and plays around with unique technologies like the sky replacement feature. So I've been having a lot of fun. It's got such an intuitive and easy to use user interface, so you don't really have to spend a lot of time watching tutorials on how to work out where everything is. And yeah, it's definitely something I'd say is worth looking into. And the best part is it's not a subscription service, it's a one-time payment. And I believe right now they have a special. So if you want to get it, I suggest having a look at the link in the description below and taking advantage of it before time runs out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in another video real soon.